This is Paul Newman, and if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. This time we are on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much to everybody for taking the time to drop by and join me today. It is, as always, very much appreciated. What we've got coming up for you today is the final part of the much anticipated Classic Watch 2024. We've already done the UK horses, the Irish horses, the French and the German horses, and the American horses. Don't fear if you've missed all of those, as well as the Australian horses done in July. I will be leaving a copy to the playlist containing all the parts of the Classic Watch 24 review after this one, so you'll be able to catch up with them all. Today, last but not least, we're focusing on the Japanese trained horses, horses trained and based in Japan. Before we start, where can people find these horses? classicwatch24.great/site.net is where people are able to find these horses. If people go there, they will see the Roll of Honour for the 2 years. The races won at 2, and then the races won 3-year-olds only, and then the races won containing 3-year-olds and older horses as well at the bottom. This is the tab we're interested in today, the Japanese trained horses tab. And if people were to click that, they will end up seeing this collection of horses that are based in Japan. Basically, there's about 8 or 9 of them. I'm not going to go through them all in any particular order. We're just going to take a look at them, how their season went, and then decide whether they were a success or a failure or not. I think the first horse we're going to take a look at is Ascoli Pacino. Ascoli Pacino was a very interesting filly, without any shadow of a doubt, sired by Daiwa Major out of a dam called Ascolti, who herself was sired by the legendary UK stallion Danehill Dancer. Ascoli Pacino was bred by Northern Farm, and if people take a look at her season, you will see that she has done very well. 7 races overall, which is exactly the same number as the Racing Post. So every race is on there for the Sunday Racing Company owned and Yoichi Kuroiwa trained filly. She had an interesting season. She was actually a top class 2-year-old. She won the Group 1 on December 2023. The Hanshin Juvenile Fillies, beating Stellenbosch by a neck. She was also a Group 3 winner at 2, winner of the Niigata Nisai as well. And then she had nothing to go really, and all she was hoping to do really was try and make her mark at 3. She actually turned up in one classic. She turned up in the Oka Show, the Japanese 1,000 guineas, where she was unfortunately beaten 3/4 of a length by Stellenbosch, finishing in 2nd place. She then was seen next time in May, where she ran in the NHK Mile Cup again against the 3-year-olds only, and she was beaten 2.5 lengths by Jantar Mantar on that occasion. The horse has always gone off a bit of a bookies horse, apart from when she won the Hanshin Juvenile, it's fair to say. She then took on the older horses for the first time in handicap company in September 2024, where she won the Keisei High Autumn Handicap, which is a Grade 3. She defeated Time to Heaven by 1.25 lengths, running to a mark which is her career best mark so far of 118. She then ended her season in a 4-year-old only race at Rose Hill in the James Squire Golden Eagle, a conditions race. Don't forget the Australian season starts on August the 1st, so she would be classed as a 4-year-old for the purpose of Australian racing, and the horse could only finish 12th out of 20, beaten 4.25 lengths by Lake Forest, the Willie Haggis trained runner from the UK, where again she ran to a mark of 107. Definitely an interesting season she had. Top class Group 1, she was classic placed and Group 1 placed, as well as winning a Group 3. Quite likely race, really. Only 4 races in the season. But yeah, hard to really class the horse as a complete failure, really. She upped her winning her best 2-year-old mark of 113 to 118 during the season, where she beat Time to Heaven in the Group 3. Very unlucky not to win a classic, it's fair to say, I think. Talking of Jantar Mantar, Jantar Mantar is in fact the next horse. Jantar Mantar, we're going to look at a horse colt sired by Palace Malice, out of a dam called India Mantuana, who herself was foaled in 2014 and sired by Wilburn. People see this Shaddai Farms raced colt in her career at 6 races in Japan and 1 race in Hong Kong so far. Plenty of stakes form, it's clear to see there. 6 races, 1 in Hong Kong and 5 in Japan. Is that right? I think it is. You will see that the race record of Jantar Mantar will in fact confirm that it's had 7 races. Yes, one of the races, unfortunately, is not on the Racing Post. It deemed as having 6 runs on the Racing Post, where Jantar Mantar has in fact had 7. The 2-year-old newcomers race on October the 8th has been ignored. And then at 2, you'll see Jantar Mantar again. Top class 2-year-old winning in November 2023, the Daily High Nisai Stakes, beating Enya Love Faith by 2 lengths. And then a win over Ikoru Waltz by 1 1/4 lengths in the Group 1 Asahi High Futurity. So Group 2 and Group 1 winning 2-year-old rated 113 at 2. Again, just the 4 starts in this 3-year-old campaign for Jantar Mantar, starting in February 2024 with a race in the Tokino Minoru Kinen. I probably butchered that. The Kyoto News High, a Grade 3 race for 3-year-olds only, 11th of February. The horse could only finish 2nd out of 10 in that race, beaten 1.5 lengths by Justin Milano. You'll see there that the horse went off a bit of a bookie's horse in the first 3 runs. The horse did turn up to a classic in April 2024. The horse turned up to the Japanese 2,000 guineas, Grade 1, held at Nakayama, which is over 1 mile 2 furlongs, and the horse could only finish 3rd. I say only. Creditable, classic placed effort. 3rd of 17, beaten 3/4 of a length by Justin Milano on that occasion. The Group 1 race, May the 2024, the NHK Mile Cup, for 3-year-olds only, surprisingly, over a mile, drop back in trip, and the horse took the race out, Jantar Mantar. 2.5 length victory over Ascoli Pacino on that day, running to a mark of 118. And then the final run of the year came on the 8th of December 2024 in Hong Kong, racing at Sha Tin, over a mile, where the horse could only finish 13th out of 14, beaten 9 1/4 lengths by Voyage Bubble, running to a mark of 103. So again, the Tomokazu Takana trained Shaddai Racehorse Company Limited owned colt. Hard to call the horse a failure, really, where the horse has taken out the leading Group 1 race over a mile for 3-year-olds in Japan in May, and has finished 3rd in the Japanese 2,000 guineas, as well as winning a Group 1 at 1 and 2. But yeah, the horse wasn't seen as much as I'd have liked after its NHK Mile win. I'd have liked to see more of it, but it didn't really do itself justice in Hong Kong that day, I thought. And again, the horse has slightly improved its 2-year-old mark of 113 to a mark of 118. So again, pretty hard to call the horse a failure, I do think. The third horse we're going to take a look at is Regulera, a filly. Regulera, a filly sired by Suave Richard, out of a dam called Roca, who herself was sired by the former UK King George winner, Harbinger. People will see that this horse has raced 8 times. Regulera, 2 of her races are not on the Racing Post. Trained by Tetsuya Kimura and owned by the Sunday Racing Company Limited, and the horse bred by Northern Farm. So if we go to the race records of this horse, Regulera, you will see that I think it's the first 2 not on the list. The 2-year-old newcomers race at Hakodate on the 9th, and then the listed race, Ivy Stakes, where she was third. Those are the first 2 races I missed out of Regaleira's career. At 2, you'll see she was a top class 2-year-old Group 1 winner on the 28th of December 2023. She won the Grade 1 Hopeful Stakes, beating Shin Emperor by 3/4 of a length, running to a mark of 113. She then came back for a decent campaign at 3, where she was very aggressively campaigned. She could have ran against the fillies in the Japanese 1,000 guineas and the Japanese Oaks, but instead she decided to take on the colts. She ran in the Satsuki Show, the Japanese 2,000 guineas, where the horse could finish 6th, beaten by 3 lengths by Justin Milano on the day, and then came back in May 2024 in the Tokyo Yushin, the Japanese Derby, another Grade 1 race where she was 5th, beaten 17 lengths by Danon Desile. Horse has already come out and won a Group 2 at 4 the other week, running to marks of 105 and 107 in her campaign early on. That was all she saw over there until September, where I must admit I did fancy her in the Group 2. They brought her back in the Kansai Television Company Limited Show Rose, which was a trial for the Japanese St. Leger, the Shuka Show, where Regaleira finished 5th out of 15, beaten 2.5 lengths by Queen's Walk that day, running to a mark of 108. Before again, Group 1 Company on the 10th of November, running in the Queen Elizabeth II Cup, where the mare finished 5th out of 17, beaten 3 lengths by Stunning Rose. She's now taking on her elders, and that was her best racing performance to that date, of 111. Just as the horse was going to be written off as a disappointment, really, on the 22nd of December 2024, the horse was balloted in to the Aruma Kinen, the Grand Prix, one of the big races of the Japanese season, for 3-year-olds and above. At Nakayama, over 1 mile, 4.5 furlongs, and would you Adam and Eve it, the Classic Watch 24 took the race out, defeating Sharia by a nose at odds of 99 to 10, 9.9 to 1, which and a career best rating to go with that as well, of 117. So a very interesting season where she didn't run in any of the fillies classics like I hoped. Finished 5th and 6th in the two Colts classics. Looked to go a bit sideways after with 2 runs then, before coming back to land the Grand Prix towards the end of December 2024. She was so good at 2, her mark of 113 was only improved on by 4, running to a Racing Post rating of 117. But yeah, it's very difficult for me to class Regaleira as a failure. It was an absolute pleasure to watch her go round, I must admit, and I did cheer when she won the Grand Prix. The next horse we're going to take a look at a very interesting season. Forever Young, the name of the horse, sired by Real Steel, out of a dam called Forever Darling, who herself was sired by Congrats. Forever Young, another one, bred by Northern Farm, and he has run in some fairly exotic places and some fairly exotic races, it's fair to say. Owned by Susumu Fujita and trained by Yoshito Yahagi. The horse has raced very well indeed, it's fair to say. 5 times in Japan, 6 times, once in the UAE, once in the Saudi Arabia. And there's also races that have been missed because this horse has ran in some community races, the step below the JRA, such as the JBC Nisai Yushin at Monubetsu, listed race that the horse took out on November the 3rd. Yeah, and there's another race as well. The Japan Dirt Classic ran at Oi on October the 2nd as well. Is another race that is not a JRA race. It's I can't remember the name of it now, but it's they run on a slightly lower level to the JRA and are not international. They have different grades on the international scene as they do in the Japanese scene, which makes following Japan racing interesting more than anything because a lot of horses do tend to get overrated. You see, the horse has had 9 races in his career, and they're only showing us 8 of them. Oh, it's the race, the first race actually, is the only race that is not on the racing post again. Their contempt for newcomers races is very strange because I found some good horses looking at newcomers races. It's almost like for this season's Classic Watch 25, it's almost like the racing post doesn't want you to know those races happening. Forever Young, very interesting campaign at 2. Winner of 2 listed races, one at Monbetsu and the other at Kawasaki. Won the All Japan 2-year-old Yushan Open. It's a bit of a dirt horse, this was, not a turf horse. But the horse would run to 110 at 2 when winning that race again. A horse that was going around as a bit of a bookie's favourite in Japan, it's fair to say. The horse was then campaigned internationally for a while. 24th of February 2004, the horse took out the Group 3 Saudi Arabia Derby at Riyadh, where the horse beat Bukham Dano by a head, running to a mark of 114. The horse then went to Maidan, the 30th of March 2024, where the horse ran in the Group 2 UAE Derby, where he beat Autobahn by 2 lengths, running to a mark of 117. That actually is a road to the Derby points for the Kentucky Derby. And the Japanese very sportingly let the horse take his chance in the Kentucky Derby in America on the 4th of May, where the horse ran heroically, really, for a horse not based in America, securing a Kentucky Derby placed effort when 3rd out of 20, beaten a short head by Mystic Dan at odds of 705 to 100, running to them a mark of 121. It was then back to Ohi for the listed Japan Dirt Classic, where the horse beat Mickey Flight by 1 1/4 lengths, running to a mark of 123 against the 3-year-olds again. And then it was back to America and Del Mar for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic on the dirt again. 3-year-olds and above race this time, where the horse, again, to me, ran a heroic race, finishing 3rd out of 14 behind Classic Watch 24 USA Possible Sierra Leone, beaten 2 3/4 lengths and running to a mark of 122. It was then on the 29th of December 2024 at OE in the last race of the season, the Tokyo Daishoten, a Grade 1 race for 3-year-olds and above over dirt, that Forever Young ran his best performance, taking the race out by a length and 3/4, beating Wilson Tesoro by 1 3/4 lengths, running to a mark of 124. What an incredible horse. What season. The horse has had running in Riyadh, the UAE, the USA and Japan. The horse has won a international Group 1 in Japan. He's also won a Group 2 in Maidan and a Group 3 in Saudi Arabia, as well as finishing placed in the Kentucky Derby and placed in the Breeders' Cup Classic and winning the Tokyo Dirt Classic as well, the Japan Dirt Classic at OE, winning by a length and 3/4, as I said. What a fantastic season the horse had. And again, an absolute pleasure to watch the horse go round Forever Young, it's fair to say. And it will be interesting to see what the horse can do at 4. The next couple, I was sort of chasing them a bit. It doesn't entirely tell the whole story. I put them on the site because I wanted them to win after I'd identified them. And I don't think either horse managed to do that. But they are classic winners. The first one we're going to look at is Stellenbosch, a filly sired by Epiphania out of a dam called Blue Crans, who herself was sired by Rulership. A good season. Stellenbosch had 7 runs and 1 in Hong Kong. And the horse ran quite well, it's fair to say. I didn't see who bred the horse there. Sorry about that. The horse was bred by Northern Farm, yet again, powerhouses of Japanese racing. You'll see 7 runs in Japan and 1 abroad. Again, good healthy contempt for the newcomers races as well on the form of Stellenbosch and also the Akamatsu Show, which Stellenbosch won on November the 19th, is also not on the list of races as well. On the Racing Post, you'll see there the Racing Post pick up with the Group 1 win in December 2023, where Stellenbosch was second, behind Ascoli Pacino, beating the neck in the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies, running to a mark of 111. And a solid filly, really. 7th of April 2024, on her return, she managed to take out the classic. Before I'd identified her, this was, though, the horse, a classic winner, taking out the Oka Show, the Japanese 1,000 guineas, Grade 1, and she had already earmarked her out. Once had seen the pedigree as an Oaks filly as well, which is why she was put onto the site. She defeated Ascoli Pacino by 3/4 of a length. You'll see how we were chasing to a certain extent. Ascoli Pacino, our classic watch horse, was beaten by 3/4 of a length by this one. And then this one, unfortunately, fell a little bit short as well. Running in May the 19th, the horse ran in the Japanese Oaks, the Yushin Himba, where she finished 2nd of 18, beaten half a length by Savinia. Again, running quite well, to a mark of 116. A few months off then, till October 2024, before the horse was seen again in the Shuka Show, the Grade 1 for 3-year-old fillies, where she finished 3rd out of 15, beaten 2 1/4 lengths by Savinia, the Oaks winner, yet again running to a mark of 113. And then on the 8th of December, it was off to Hong Kong for Stellenbosch as well. The Hong Kong Vars, Group 1, where the horse ran creditably, finishing 3rd, beaten 3.5 lengths by UK raider Giovanotto, running to a mark of 111. So, yeah, a very interesting season for Stellenbosch. We just couldn't quite nail her. 2-year-old race, the Saffron Show, and then she won the Akamatsu Show, going to the Hanson Juvenile Fillies, took that out, finished 2nd, sorry. Then she was quite a surprise winner, it's fair to say, of the Guineas, looking at form, I do think. And then she was 2nd in the Oaks, 3rd in the Suzuka Show, and 3rd in the Hong Kong Vars. It's a very interesting campaign, it's fair to say. Stellenbosch, she has won a lot of money, that's for certain. A lot of Japanese yen has gone the way of Stellenbosch. And she had a very interesting career so far. And it will be interesting to see what the horse can do at 4. Typical story for the next horse, really. Justin Milano, a colt. Just the colt sired by Kizuna, out of a dam called Margot Did, who people might remember, running from the UK, out of a dam called Exceed and Excel. This horse, another one, bred by Northern Farm. And again, chasing somewhat, unfortunately, with this horse as well. People see that the horse is a classic winner after winning the Japanese Guineas, the Satsuki Show, but we put the horse on to win the Derby in May after it won the Guineas. And unfortunately, the horse failed to do that. But again, the horse has only had 4 races in its life. Justin Milano, impossible really to call the horse a failure on the back of that. And that's the end of the racing career of Justin Milano. Another horse that has gone to stud, I think. According to this, it's now in the stallion section of the Racing Post. You'll see there, the 2-year-old debut there is actually on the list, the newcomer race there. Beat 1 3/4 length, beat Redentor by 1 3/4 lengths on the 18th of November 2023. It then came back at 3 on the 11th of February 2024 to win the Kyoto News High Group 3 race, where it beat Jantar Mantar, a classic watch horse, by a length and a half, running to a mark of 117. You see, this horse wasn't weighted by the Racing Post at 2. And then the next 2 runs, again, exceedingly solid. This horse, April 2024, classic winner, winning the Japanese 2,000 Guineas, defeating Cosmo Kuranda by a neck, running to a mark of 116. And then the 26th of May 2024, the Tokyo Yushin, the Japanese Derby, put him on the site to win the race, and the horse, unfortunately, beaten 2 lengths by Danon de Seal, be 2nd out of 17. But again, running to a Racing Post rating of 116. And then that was it. That was the last of the horse. It's now in the stallion section. I unfortunately can't tell you how much the horse is standing for according to the Racing Post. But yeah, 117 rated, classic winner. Also ran to 116. Never won a pattern race at 2 though, which I think is quite unusual for a Japanese sire, but it must have been injury that made them retire the horse to stud. You would think after only 4 races, Japanese horses normally race on a lot longer than that. But yeah, Justin Milano, classic winner, but just couldn't quite land the Japanese Derby for us for Classic Watch 24. Unfortunately, but very good horse, and impossible to call the horse a failure. The next horse we're going to take a look at is Sugar Kun. Sugar Kun is a horse sired by Duramente out of a dam called Sugar Heart, who herself was sired by Sakura Bakushino, Japanese sire there. This horse, very interesting horse, never raced at 2 years old. This horse raced 5 times at 3. It's actually quite very well bred horses, as you'd have expected. This horse, I think, is related to a Kitasan Black, I think, or a horse of similar abilities to that. The side might have been sired by Kitasan Black, but yeah, I can't quite remember off the top of my head. You say 3-year-old newcomers race, it was beaten, and then it won a 3-year-old maiden at Hanshin on February the 24th, and then it won the Okan Sakura show on turf as well in March. Just the 2 races on the Racing Post, the 2 races after that. 27th of April 2024, which is when I identified the horse. The horse won the Group 2 TV Tokyo High Aoba show. Grade 2 win, beating Shonan La Punta by a head and running to a mark of 107. And then the horse in 2024 ran in the Japanese Derby, the Tokyo Yushin. The horse could finish 7th behind Danon Desile, beaten by 5.5 lengths. But he did up his Racing Post rating to, on a career best with them, 110. But yeah, you see the Racing Post not really giving us much to go on with Sugar Kun. The horse has actually raced 5 times in its career, but there should surely, hopefully, be more to come from people following this horse. I mean, compared to some of the others, this horse is very unexposed. Some of the horses that we've looked at, very unexposed horse. Sugar Kun. The horse was trained by Hisashi Shimizu and owned by Yorikatsu Sujiko and bred by Yanagawa Bakujo. Credit to him, really. Group 2 winner. And hopefully there will be more to come on this horse. Although this one, arguably, has achieved the least out of the horses we've looked at so far. Last but not least, Urban Chic. The last horse selected on Classic Watch 24. In Japan, a horse sired by Suave Richard out of a dam called Edgy Style. Another one sired by Harbinger. Another dam sired by Harbinger. This horse again, bred by Northern Farms, and it was owned by the Silk Racing Company Limited and trained by Ryu Sakai. Again, 6 runs on the Racing Post. The horse has actually raced a few more times than that, 8. The newcomers race and the Hianu Shinizu race. Definitely not on the Racing Post. The first race, the Racing Post has the Grade 3 on in January 2024 at Nakayama, where the horse was 2nd to 14, beaten 3/4 of a length by Danon Desile. The eventual Derby winner running to a mark of 105. So also I've just realised has run in all 3 classics. Credit to it, really. 14th of April 2024, the horse turned up in the Japanese 2000 Guineas. Ran a very good race, finishing 4th, beaten 2.25 lengths by Justin Milano, running to a mark of 111. And then it was off to the Derby, 26th of May, the Tokyo Yushin, where the horse finished 11th out of 17, beaten 7 lengths again by Danon Desile, running to a mark of 108. It was then really that the horse arguably got the wins it deserved and the wins that I needed for the horse to get, because I was obviously aware of the horse around April time, but I do not put horses on that have lost last time out. So I managed to get the horse on side in September 2024 when the horse won the Asahi High St. Light Kinen, which is a trial for the Japanese St. Leger, a Group 2 race at Nakayama. The horse defeating Cosmo Kuranda by a length and 3/4, running to a mark of 117. And then in October at Kyoto, the horse took out the Kikuka show, the Japanese St. Leger. So this really was the only classic winner identified in Japan that was on the site before the horse actually won the classic. We had a couple of classic winners that were put on to double up, but they unfortunately couldn't manage it. This is the only one who managed to win a classic while actually being on display on Classic Watch 24 in Japan. He won well. The horse beat Redentor by 2.5 lengths, went into a mark of 115. Interesting that the Racing Post think it took more to win the trial over 1 mile 3 than it did the classic over 1 mile 7. It was then I thought that'd be it for the end of the year then as a classic winner, but no. The horse was in the Arima Kinen as well, the Grand Prix, on the 22nd of December. Ran a good solid race, really, finishing 6th out of 15, beaten only 3 lengths by Regulera, running to a mark of 116 when the horse went off the favourite for that race, over 1 mile, 4.5 furlongs. If anything, these few horses here just show how competitive Japanese racing is, really. Very difficult. You saw how much we were chasing last year, horses that had won group races before classics that would have definitely been identified if I gave the Japanese racing the same respect as everywhere else in the world, which really has been sort of done by Classic Watch 25. We're up to a few newcomers already. We've looked at plenty of newcomers. I started the season with a list of 20. That was before even a 3-year-old newcomers race was ran. We've managed to take out a couple of races already, the Fantasy Stakes, and I think the other one was the race won by Lila Emblem has won a race. We had Panja Tower won a Nisai at 2. That's already on the site. We've got Forever Young's half sister is on the site already, Classic Watch 25 possible. And I think I'm in much better shape this year. You know, we also got Erica Express from the trials that we hadn't even looked at 2. So ahead of the April and May, could be quite busy in Japan this year. We could have a few. But Urban Chic, very good horse and a classic winner in 2024. All credit to the horse. And he's never hard to judge. None of his runs at 2. Did he race at 2, Urban Chic? Yes, he did. He ran twice. None of the 2 races were actually on the Racing Post, so we can't gain how much he improved, but we can tell you that he's rating of 117, which he gained when winning the trial, the Aoba Show. I think the race was called, the Asahi Ice at Lake Kinin, my mistake. It's a very good rating, 117, and again, you'll see that the Japanese racing is in fact quite solid, 115, 116, 117. You know, there's not many bad horses going round, and some of them are very well bred. Right. I'm afraid to tell you all that in fact ends the Classic Watch 24 review. With the review of the Japanese horses, the Classic Watch 24 review has come to a close, and I think it's fair to say that the site was an overwhelming success. You'll see people only just need to scroll through the list of races that were taken out by horses on the site in Australia at the start of the season, and then all through really Japan and places like that. Japan, everywhere we looked at, I think we managed to make our mark on Classic Watch 24. ClassicWatch24.great/site.net. The site hopefully will remain on the internet while I'm on the planet for prosperity. But yeah, this is pretty much the last look at Classic Watch 24. I will then go through the horses off camera and decide which ones I'm going to move forward with as 4-year-olds for my own personal fun. But yeah, that's the end of the Classic Watch 24 review. Thank you very much to everybody who has watched the video. What I will do is I will give everybody an opportunity who has watched this video and has chosen not to subscribe to the channel. I will give you all an opportunity to subscribe to the channel. And then, like I said at the beginning of the video, I will leave a copy of the playlist containing the Classic Watch 24 review so people can look at all the parts of it. But that's it. Classic Watch 24, it's been an absolute pleasure. What a season we have had. Absolutely incredible horses. I think I continue to learn all the time, especially in Japan, really, will be the biggest jump forward from 24 to 25. And I'm also trying to get more Southern Hemisphere representation on the site. Maybe looking at Argentina, New Zealand and South Africa. They're in the very early stages of their 2-year-old campaigns there, as well as they are in Australia, where I've got a couple of Aussies on a possibles list, but nothing so far on the videos for Classic Watch 26. So that will surely be around the corner soon, before July, because that's when the Australian season finishes. And then we will need some Australian horses on there for that. But for now, I can leave this video here, I think. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend upcoming. Look after yourselves and your loved ones. And goodbye.